So, my friends, welcome to a new video. And this video has had almost a year of preparation time. So, it's about this trading bot that I've been testing for just over a year now. Why did it take so long? I'll definitely get into that in today's video. Why am I showing you this bot now? Don't worry, I'm not going to drop any links or anything like that so I can profit off of you. That's not what this is about. The bot is completely free. I'll explain everything to you now, how the whole thing works in the end. We'll talk about what's especially important. How do you need to sign up if you want to use it? How much is the minimum deposit? And what I can already tell you up front is that you always have control over your money. That means you don't have to, let's say, send your money somewhere else. It's still your money. You have control over it. You even have control over the trades. We're definitely going to cover all of that now. Before we get started, I'd really appreciate it if you could give the video a like and, of course, subscribe to the channel. And if you have any more questions, just drop them in the comments below or join my Telegram group. So, it's about black box trading. Like I said, I've probably been testing this bot for almost a year now. A buddy of mine said it to me once. He asked me to take a look at it, so I tested it out. The first few months went pretty smoothly, but you have to keep in mind, it was still in the alpha and beta phase. So everything was still kind of in the testing phase. It wasn't really public yet. The site has actually been around for a while. You could already sign up. There was even a partner exchange already. I'll talk more about that in a moment. But, it still wasn't really finished. And now, since the beginning of the year, I think since January, the thing has been running really smoothly. That means I've had another 6 months to test it out. I also have to say, right up front, huge praise for the support team. Everything always got handled super quickly, I really have to say. And that's also why it took so long, why I waited to make a video about this step, because I didn't want to recommend something to you where I'd have to say, ugh, no, it doesn't really work properly. It always gets stuck here and there. Now it works. And it's all about black box trading. As you can see here, there are now several exchange partners, BitGet, Bybit, and BLOFIN. We'll get to BLOFIN a bit later, around the middle of the video. I'll need to explain something to you about that. So, this is about a trading bot that basically trades for you, usually the BTC-USDT pair. That means you always need to have USDT on the exchange. They've actually created a really good overview here. Simple setup, secure funds. Secure funds. Why is that? I can actually get into that right now. Normally, when bots are being promoted to you, you really have to hand over everything. Most of the time, you are sending your money somewhere, aside from these exchange bots, that is. I'm really talking about other bots here. Most of the time, you have to send your money somewhere. You're promised some kind of returns that usually aren't even possible. But here, everything runs through an API key. And this API key gives you the power or control over your assets. That means you put your money into the funding wallet. In a moment, you'll see what that looks like for me. And from there, BlackBöx. Sorry for my slip of the tongue just now. BlackBöx has the control, at least to open trades. But they can't send away your funds or transfer anything. They only have, so to speak, control over the margin you have in this funding account, just to open trades. But, and here's the big but, you still always have the option to manually close trades yourself or to add margin, etc. I think that's a really important point to make right at the beginning, so no one says, whoa, no, I don't want to give up control of my money. Don't worry, everything is ultimately secured via API through the exchanges. At the moment, there are 3 bots. There's the BlackBöx, precision scalping, maximum impact, as it's called here, then the Mr. Swing box, and also the BlackBöx. Those are the 2 I've tested so far. I tried out the BlackBöx at the beginning, back when it was still in the alpha phase. I wasn't really convinced by it, to be honest with you. I want to be honest with you here. The other 2 have been running for quite a while now, and I'm totally satisfied with them. Like I said, he also has a trade, I think, at 109,000. We'll get into that in a moment, because I still need to show you the Discord server. I really have to recommend it to you, because it's extremely important. You opened at 109. I think the take profit was at 119, 120. I already closed that one beforehand. So everything works. Theoretically, you don't have to do anything yourself, but you can if you want. We have these spot trading bots here, and the future trading bots. In my opinion, the spot trading bots don't work yet, but the future trading bots do. And with those, you also have the option to set your own risk level. So that means, for example, let's say you have $1,000, because that's what I currently have on BLOFIN, how much of those $1,000 should be used? The platform itself isn't just a trading bot. There's a lot more planned for it. I already know about some things, but I'm not allowed to reveal them yet. There's a lot more coming. So don't worry, it's not just the bot that's being run here in the end. They also have their own YouTube channel. I can really recommend it because everything is explained there again, including how to fully set up the bots. There are also YouTube videos about this from time to time, including Bitcoin chart analyses and things like that. You can find all of that on the Discord server as well. That's pretty much it for the first page for now. What does BlackBöx do? BlackBöx is an automated trading strategy bot that manages your crypto positions for you. The German here is a bit off because I just threw it into Google Translate. It uses high time frame signals and trading strategies modeled after some of the best fund managers on Wall Street. While the bot is optimized for trading Bitcoin, it will also support trading with other digital assets. So as you can see, right now only Bitcoin works, but more are planned to be added. Is it safe? Yes, as I explained to you, because here it's just API access taking place. Why is it free? That might also be an important point for all of you out there. The whole thing is completely free. So you don't have to pay anything monthly here. You just sign up using the link you'll find below in my video description. That's important, and we'll talk about that again in a moment, because that's how they finance themselves. You sign up at an exchange, and normally, the exchange gets all the fees, so to speak. Right. But they have a special affiliate link, just like you know from other exchanges, so that, let's say, they get a small percentage of the fees, and that's how they finance themselves. Right. So basically, all the fees that would normally go to the exchange, a certain percentage of them go to BlackBöx here, and that's how they fund themselves. So don't worry, they're not going to open 100 trades a week. That's not the point. Instead, it's usually, I'd say, 1 or 2 trades a week, but over a longer period of time. You always have to see how the market phase is, of course. There's a group on Discord. We'll talk about that in a moment. I'll explain everything to you. How much money do I need? Technically speaking, there's no minimum. This is important for you to know for the bot to work. However, we recommend starting with at least $500 US. It makes sense because the bot needs to be able to trade a bit. But in the end, yeah, PFF, you won't have any problems here, even with the smallest amounts. So, that was the first page. When you register here, you just need to click on Open Dashboard or take the first steps here. Then you sign up for free, just create an account, and then your dashboard will look like this. It opens up. You can see here, there are currently $2,081. I should mention, this view has only been available again recently. So, there was actually quite a bit more, I'd say, back at the, end, or rather, you could say the end of the beta phase or the beginning of July. But I had to change everything again because they changed everything here as well. That means I no longer have access to the old data, but basically, out of $2,000, it made $80 profit this week. So now you can already see here what that looks like. As I said, you then have the option here to select all the bots. As you can see, I currently have a main bot running and I also still have the BlackBöx, so Mr. Swingbox and the BlackBöx bot are both running here at the moment. And now we get to the important part. Namely, here you have the exchange connections. This is extremely important. You have to create an API key, and for that you simply need to, and that's exactly why I deliberately chose BLOFIN now, because you have to make a completely new account. But we have the problem in Germany, and probably also in the DACH region, that there's a KYC requirement everywhere. That means you can only make one account everywhere, at most. That's problem number 1. That means exchanges like Bybit and BitGet are the ones most people already have. And I don't want to put you through the hassle of creating a new account just so you can use this bot. That's why BLOFIN is still relatively unknown. But it's already been a partner of BlackBöx for quite a while, and I've also had good experiences with BLOFIN. So, just use the link below in my video description to sign up. That way, you'll already be registered with BlackBöx, so they know you're coming from me, and you can use this bot. You have to do KYC with BLOFIN. That's just how it is. It usually doesn't take long, and you need to do it so you can set up an API connection. And you have to do this with every exchange. Whether it's Bybit, BitGet, or BLOFIN, KYC is required everywhere. As I said, I'm currently using BLOFIN exclusively for this bot because it just makes sense. And I also don't want everyone to go through the trouble of deleting their old account and making a completely new one. That doesn't make any sense. That's why I created a new account with BLOFIN. Everything runs smoothly, without any problems, and in the end, if you register using the link below in the video description, you'll also get bonuses and such. I'll share all of that with you in the Telegram group as well. This is what it will look like for you. Here, you have create API key. Then, you need to go to API transaction. You give it a name, and then you have to, let's say, check all the boxes here. Withdrawal, transfer, but as I said, they don't have access to those. Then, you set a passphrase here. Make sure to remember it. It's really, really important if you want to use the API key in the end, and you don't necessarily have to do what's down here. But these two are important. Once you've done that, a secret phrase and a secret API key will appear. You then need to enter these here under Create Connection. Select BLOFIN. You will see it here. You can name the custom exchange connection whatever you want. Just call it BlackBöx. Then you'll have the API key here, which you'll get once you've created this API key on BLOFIN. By the way, it's super easy. You just go up here, and then you'll see API. So, where it says Assets in the top right, you'll also see API there, and then you just click Create API Key. Really, really important. Alright. Then you'll need to enter the secret API and the API passphrase here, just like I just showed you. And then the connection is already set up, and you can basically transfer your funds to your funding account, for example, just like I did. Or, as you can see here on the dashboard or here with the bots, there are currently just $1,000 in there. And then you can basically click on the Create Bot button. Then, you should clearly see your connection listed here under Exchange Connections. After that, you simply click up here on the left-hand side where it prominently says Bot, then proceed to Futures Bots, and finally, click on the Create Bot button once more. And then you have the option to first enter the name of your bot. That doesn't really matter. And then for Exchange Connection, select BLOFIN, and here you have the option to choose your bots. BangBox, Mr. Swingbox, and of course the AMX Bullbox. Those are basically the options you have. For example, you can select the AMX Bullbox with the BTC USD pair, then choose the margin coin. Of course, you can also use BTC as margin, but as I said, I would always go with USDT here. And then down here, very important, you have your risk level. That, of course, also determines your returns to some extent, so to speak. You can interpret that however you want. But you have the option. By default, it's set to 2%, 3%, 4%, and you can go up to 10%. That's basically how much potential loss you have per trade. I think you just saw it yourself. Right now, it's set to 4%. I think that's okay, because usually people say you can take on 3 to 4% risk here. And so, in the end, it's pretty easy to set up your bot, in my opinion. So I think it's pretty good, too. And here again, if you look at the top left where it says Dashboard, you'll also see strategies, futures, and so on. And here, you basically have the returns from the last, 24 months. And there you can also see your risk level, how it's determined. So for example, with AMXB Bullbox, you made 34% in the last 24 months at a 2% risk level. Of course, the higher your risk level, the higher the returns. But here, it's always also a bit about safety. So you shouldn't blow all your powder here just so this bot theoretically makes more. You have to determine your own risk. Like I said, I chose 4% here. That's right in the middle. But you can also go with 3%. That's completely up to you. And this way, in the end, you can also see the returns of the other bots. BangBox, which I also used, for example, had a 49% return over the last 24 months, of course, because the price trends were really, really good, and here I also chose a risk level of 4%. But as you can see, the higher it is, the greater the return. But as I said, it's not a fixed return. Even a bot can make losses, and that needs to be said clearly here. This bot has also made losses before. That was especially obvious during the beta phase. There were times with a bit of a drawdown, but then it recovered, so overall there was always a slight gain. But you have to accept that, just because these profits are being made now. It can also go down for 2 months and then go back up again. So this is a long-term experiment, not something where you're promised returns within a week or two. Definitely not. Please don't take this as a promise that you'll get extremely rich or anything like that. That's not what this is about, but the bot, I would say, has been working over a longer period now. And then we also have this Mr. Swingbox, which has generated 35%. So actually, it was pretty good that I haven't really used this AMX Bullbox in detail so far. That's all for this part. I hope you've understood everything up to this point. It's pretty easy. I'd say this, setting everything up, including KYC, API, and so on, will probably take you about 20 minutes, and then you're done. And now we come to the important part, join Discord. Discord is extremely important here. I've also, you need to be granted access here. That means you need your UID from BLOFIN, which you'll get after creating your account. For example, there will be a pop-up window where you have to verify yourself to make sure that you are actually registered with the UID, for example from me or from BlackBöx. And then you'll be granted access to everything here. So, you don't absolutely need Discord, but if you have any problems or anything like that, for example, support tickets and such, all of that goes through Discord. And I have to say, it really works very, very quickly here, and they offer you a lot. So first of all, the terms of service are fine. Announcements, if there's anything important here, also bot updates, YouTube notifications, like I mentioned, there are sometimes live streams here and of course videos are made as well. And here, which I also think is pretty good, there are also the signals. That means the signals are basically the bots. And here, it's also sometimes explained why this bot has triggered certain alarm signals. You'll also always be kept up to date here, for example, whether the bot, like last time on July 4th, for example, made another 2.26% profit here. And sometimes it's also explained, for example, a momentum shift has been registered in the RSI after a price dip below the 100 EMA. BlackBöx is now long. So here, it's also sometimes explained why, how, and for what reason this bot is going long here. And as you can see here, for every bot there's basically a Discord server, let's just call it that, where everything is explained, where it takes profits, why it takes profits, and so on and so forth. So I think that's really, really good and important that there's some transparency here, or actually, not just some, it's completely transparent, including who the people behind it are and things like that. There's no scamming going on here or anything like that. That's really, really important. You have a trading chat where, lots of news and updates are posted all the time. It's similar to what you know from my Telegram group, like sometimes sharing a heat map and things like that. There's also an active community here. The group owners also post here quite often. You'll also find Bitcoin analyses here, altcoin analyses, and ordinals. And of course, there's also the regular chat, meme coins, live streams, bot questions. So if you have any questions here, they'll really answer all of them for you. I think that's important. They're really on the ball here. Everything works super smoothly. People respond quickly. So far, I'm totally satisfied, but like I said, it took this long. Why am I only making this video now? Because I wanted to test it out for myself first. If this thing had just eaten up 50% of my margin over the past weeks and months, well, then I wouldn't have needed to show it to you. So, that wouldn't make any sense. That's why I tested it long enough. So far, I'm really satisfied with it. And like I said, as you know, I'm not a fan of Discord, but I really have to say, it actually makes sense to just join this Discord server if you have any questions or anything else. So, what's important again? Let's sum it all up now. The bot doesn't have direct access to, or can't just run off with your, let's say, margin. Everything operates via the API that you ultimately enable. But it can't do anything with it except trade. You always have control over your trades. You can adjust them manually, you can close them, you can open them, etc. Everything. You can set your own risk. Like I said, for me it's 4%. If we take another quick look at it, where is it? Here we go. For me, it's these 4% that I've set at the moment. And, you can set all of that yourself too. You can also withdraw your margin at any time. You can stop the bots. That's actually pretty easy too. So you have everything under control here at the moment. You can also disconnect the API connection at any time. Otherwise, like I said, you just need to sign up using the BLOFIN link. You have to do KYC there. It's the easiest way, I'd say, because a lot of people have already done KYC at BitGet, for example, or have an account there, and deleting it again doesn't make sense, and BLOFIN is a safe exchange. The founders are trustworthy and well known. You're really in good hands here. They're now expanding into the European market. So I've also thought about using them more often myself. But for this purpose, it's definitely perfect. So if you have any questions about it. Also, you have to give it some time. Don't just say, oh man, I've been down 1% for a week. Yeah, that can happen. The market doesn't always go up, and not every trader is 100% profitable. That every single trade just skyrockets. But I have to say, I like the system. Just give it a try. If you have questions, either come to me or, as I said, join the Discord server. Otherwise, it's pretty easy to just sign up here in the end. And as always, I'll put all the links for you down in the video description. On one hand, to BlackBöx, where you need to register, and on the other hand, to BLOFIN, so you can actually use the bot. Like I said, you don't have to worry. Your funds are basically safe. No one's going to use 100 times leverage or anything like that. You set your own risk level. Everything is handled automatically in the background via the API. So, I'd say I'm curious to hear your opinions. What do you think about all of this, about BlackBöx itself? What do you think of the idea? How do you generally feel about everything, about how it's all set up? Like I said, I'm happy with it, otherwise I wouldn't be recommending it to you here. And otherwise, I'd say that's it from my side. Thank you for listening at this point, and otherwise, I can't really think of anything else right now. I think the video has gotten long enough now. 20 minutes should be enough for now, in my opinion. And yeah, we'll talk again. If there's anything new, I'll make update videos here from time to time, and otherwise, just sign up below. Links are down below in the video description. Leave a like, subscribe, and then we'll catch up in the next video. Until then, bye bye, and as always, stay crypto.